Why you got an orange tie?
Oh my goodness, we got longer arms.
Oh, you got them? Did they update anything else? Is this the same people?
Yeah, this is Gramco.
Good evening. This is a conference meeting of the City Council of the City of Orange Township held in Council Chambers, City Hall, 29 North Day Street, Orange, New Jersey, on Tuesday, November 20th, 2018 at 7:09 p.m. Thank you. I'm going to do a roll call. Councilwoman Eason? Here. Councilman Jackson?
Here.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Here.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Here.
Councilwoman Williams?
Present.
Councilwoman Wooten?
Here.
Council President Coley?
Present.
Also present, Joyce Lanier, City Clerk, Madeline Smith, Deputy Clerk, Chris Hartwork, Business Administrator, Ross Montel, City Attorney, Kenneth Douglas, Fire Director, Adrian Mack, the Finance Director, Marlon Towns, Legislative Research Officer, Lisette Sanchez, Record Support Technician, and the Paula Rafera, Tax Collector. Please stand for a moment of silence.
Let's remember the fire victims in California. And at our last meeting, I mistakenly omitted standing in silence for Maggie Omer's mother. Thank you.
Please be apprised, anyone wishing to discuss agenda or general items shall sign one book. Each person signing the book will be allowed to speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. The requirements of NJSA 10:4-9 at set, the Sunshine Law has been met. The notice of this meeting was sent to the Star Ledger and published in the record transcript July 12, 2018, posted on the bulletin board in City Hall and filed in the office of the City Clerk. For matters for discussion, we do not have any. The resolutions and ordinance. Oh, okay. Sorry, the BA will make a statement.
Thank you. Thank you. Council President, after the last meeting, the clerk's office discovered a publication error that affects 4 ordinances that were considered at the November 7th meeting. Those ordinances, although I don't have the numbers in front of me, are the ordinance for the acquisition of 425 Main Street, the ordinance for the acquisition and swap of 405 Main Street, which is commonly referred to as the Rossi Hardware and Paint property, the bond ordinance for the $3 million for the notes to fund those projects if we need it, and the ordinance amending the Technical Review Committee. Due to an oversight, the ordinances were emailed to be published, but the email never went through, and it wasn't discovered until after we had the meeting and the public hearing. So tonight, we're announcing that we will have the public hearing on those 4 ordinances at the December 4th, 2018 regular meeting. The notices of publication and the publication of the hearing notice and ordinance will be redone in conformity with the statute. And we will move forward with the public hearing on the 4th of December. Since we're having the public hearing on the 4th of December, I have asked the tax assessor to be present in the event that any questions come up, and I have asked the council president for time to make a financial presentation on the acquisition of the property ordinances and on the Crane Street ordinance, the financial information on that. So all of that will be on the December 4th agenda. I have provided you and provided two members of the public a look-forward memo in terms of a timeline for items that will either be on the December 4th or the December 18th meeting. And you'll notice that I have included the hearings on the acquisition of 425, the hearing on the acquisition of the Rossi property, the public hearing on the ordinances authorizing the execution of the financial agreement for the Crane Street project, the $10 million bond ordinance for the road improvements from the State Infrastructure Bank. The only caveat that I would make is that I may have listed some of these under December 4th. If I don't have the local finance board approval by December 4th, which I doubt I will, they'll be moved to the 20th. So, for example, the RAB bond on the Crane Street development project and the $3 million ordinance, no, not the $3 million ordinance. The RAB bond will probably be on the 20th, as will the $10 million bond ordinance. Will be on the 18th.
And Council President,
Councilwoman Williams.
I would also like to add that the clerk let our budget consultant know so that they can be present as well. Mr. Lurch Omega.
And we have also put on for the 4th and the 18th, we're reserving a slot for budget transfers and budget cancellations, resolutions, which we'll explain at the time.
Is that it?
Is it?
Okay, for the record, the ordinance that he was speaking of was 4820-18, 49-2018, 50-2018, and 51-2018. Okay, the resolutions and ordinances to be presented at tonight's meeting are listed on the attached regular meeting agenda. If any council members wish to discuss any resolutions or ordinances, may be discussed at this time.
Council members, any resolutions that need to be discussed?
I don't think so.
3/28/2018. I need to know.
Williams, say again?
3/28/2018.
320.
Who is that gentleman? Can somebody give me a little background or something?
328, Councilwoman Williams.
Comment? 328. Wait a second. Oh, this is Councilwoman, this is Patsy, I'm sorry, Freehold DeCebo's husband. He just passed.
I understand, but I thought Councilman Jack, what was his contribution to Orange? That's what I'm looking for.
What was his contribution to the county, and we're part of the county?
Not the county?
I'm telling you, what, from my standpoint, I'm not saying to Orange,
I said, my specific question is,
and I'm
what
asking
was
you,
his
Councilwoman.
contribution to Orange?
and I'm answering you, Councilwoman Easton. If you read the resolution, you'll see all that he's done. You'll see that Freehold DeCebo is a tremendous supporter of this body, and she is at as many events as she can be at. And her husband passed, and she's a representative of the county. So for me, and whether you choose to support it and everything, as a governing body, I believe this is the way that we acknowledge that our sympathy in her husband passing. And if you choose to support it, I hope you do. And if not, but
I thought Councilman Jackson, before earlier you asked the question about the contribution.
and I don't agree with Councilwoman Jackson's assessment. That's his, if that's how he chooses to, whom he chooses
No, I'm
to.
just, Donna,
I-
please, Councilwoman Williams, please, give me an opportunity to express myself. Don't get defensive.
I'm not
It's just a
defensive.
lot of questions. What was his contribution to Orange? You still have not explained it. I understand, I know Freeholder Seabold, I know all about her. I haven't seen her to anything in Orange, but that's another thing. Maybe it's something that I didn't attend.
Okay.
All my question was, what was his contribution to Orange?
And
And
my
I thought we
response to
said
you,
moving forward,
No.
as we celebrate the life of people. But that's fine, I'm done, that's all.
Okay, and Council President,
You
I'm
don't
going
need
to
to explain
respond.
anymore. I'm
Okay,
done.
and-
I'm
but I
done.
am going to respond.
Yeah, I'm done.
Council President, for the record, I understand Councilman Jackson's, how he chooses to honor or not honor people, and that's fine. I choose to do it in a different way, and because of Freeholder Seabold and her support, and because of her husband's outstanding work in the county as a collective effort of sympathy, that's what this is from this governing body. That's what this will be if it passes, sorry.
Are you finished, Councilwoman Easton? Since everybody knows what I'm thinking and what I do,
Councilman Jackson?
if I may, I had some question about this particular ordinance because I think that it should be clear with Orange. If she has done a lot for Orange, then these things should be listed. And I think that's the least we could have if you're going to say this is for the governing body, that we should have some query about what it is so the governing body actually knows what they're doing other than reading this litany of accomplishments from someone who I don't know what they did for Orange. So, I understand that these things aren't going to change. I didn't raise it on the record because I know there is something that is of benefit, but I don't know what it is to Orange. So, I'm all about, recognizing people who have done outstanding things, but I just think that there's a limit about how much we can do as a governing body when it's not clear what the benefit is to those people we represent. So it's all good.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other council members' questions, comments, thoughts on this resolution 328, 2018? Any other comments, questions, or any other resolutions? Madam Clerk?
Before you go, just for the record, announce the walk-ons.
We have a number of walk-ons. Give me a moment. We have 3 walk-ons?
Yes.
Walk-on 340-2018, a walk-on of resolution authorizing the separation agreement and general release of claims between the City of Orange Township and the Chief Financial Officer. We have 341-2018, a walk-on, a resolution of appreciation to Peggy Ann Milton Wade, Section 8 Program Manager, for her over 27 years of service to the City of Orange Township. And we have Resolution 342-2018, which is also a walk-on, resolution of the governing body of the City of Orange Township certifying compliance with the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission's enforcement guidance on the arrest and conviction records and the employment decisions under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Councilman Williams? Second. Wooten? Adjournment, all in favor? Aye. Adjournment, it was at 7:23?
We broke a record.
Yeah.
Let's keep it up.
Thank you. going, staying. Keep going. This is a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Orange Township held in Council Chambers, City Hall, 29 North Day Street, Orange, New Jersey, on Tuesday, November 20, 2018, following the conference meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilwoman Easton,
Here.
Councilman Jackson,
Here?
Deputy Johnson Jr.,
Here.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson,
Here.
Councilwoman Williams,
Present.
Councilwoman Wooten. Here. Council President Coley.
Present.
Also present, Joyce Lanier, City Clerk Madeline Smith, Deputy Clerk, Chris Hartwick, Business Administrator, Gras Montillis, City Attorney, Kenneth Douglas, Fire Director, Adrian Mapp, Finance Director, Marlon Towns, Legislative Research Officer, Lisette Sanchez, Records Technician, and Paula Ferreira, Tax Collector. The City Clerk announced the requirements of NJSA 10:4-9 et cetera. The Sunshine Law has been met. A notice of this meeting was sent to the Star Ledger and published in the record transcript on July 12, 2018, posted on the bulletin board in City Hall, and filed in the office of the City Clerk. We have no minutes to approve. Report for the Department Monthly Revenue Collection for 2018. We have no constable reports, no open reports. We have council reports.
Yeah. Finance?
Yes. My notes are quick. What's your notes? I was doing my notes. What's your notes real quick, Councilwoman? The Finance Committee met on 19 November 2018. Attendees were myself, Councilman Jackson, BA Mr. Hartwick, Finance Director Mr. Mapp, Citizen Appointment Carol Perkins, our Senior Clerk Quinn Fields. At the opening of the meeting, the Business Administrator stated there are 3 things he would like to discuss. But I think you made this, did you just make this in your opening statement? All these 3 things which he just made in his opening statement. The agenda items were as follows. 3/31/2018. Can I just have you discuss that, Mr. Hartwick? And I don't want, I didn't, okay. If you more summary of it.
Okay. Resolution 331, the Paula Ferraro, the current tax collector, discovered and brought to our attention the fact that the prior tax collector had accepted a certified check for $20,000 from a property owner, but it was not the total amount that was due on the taxes for the property. There was a third-party lien certificate that had been held, that was being held by a third party, which means that you can't accept the money because it's not going to pay the lien holder. So this money has been sitting in our account, and we need to pay it back and refund it to the property owner with the instruction that as to what the entire amount due and owing is, and the instruction that we can only accept 100% of what's due and owing.
And 332 and 333 about the superintendent?
Sure. 332 is, and 333, the former tax assessor had these properties listed incorrectly. These are superintendent units and are therefore part of the common element. And as a result, the refunds need to be processed.
334-2018, this is a cost that will cover when properties go into a delinquent status. This will cover the cost of processing and mailing. So if this resolution passes this year, when a person is in delinquent status, the cost will be a wash because we'll have collected the fees of $25 per line item. 335-2018, this is a change order, and this was after everything was finished and crossed out, there was an additional $735.52 due. 336-2018, same, this 336-2018, this was a change order because at the central field, lines were not there for football, and they added the line so that they can, it can be a multi-use field, so they can do both soccer and football there. 337-2018, this is the 330, 5
yeah,
is the
330
cost, and 336 is the engineer's cost.
Right.
And 338-2018, this is a new contract for...
Actually, I was wrong last night.
Okay.
I need to amend what I told the Finance Committee.
Okay.
On 338, there's no additional money being authorized here. All we're doing is amending the contract and the resolution to put money that was in one section and for the zoning ordinance and apply it to the master plan. So in the original contract, there was X dollars for the master plan and X dollars for the zoning ordinance. We added several public sessions that were not contemplated when the contract was authorized. So we're moving money within the contract amount. There will be an RFP that goes out onto the street for the 2019 contract, and we'll be back to you with those resolutions after we've evaluated the proposals.
Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, You're welcome, Councilwoman. That's it on your finance report?
Let me add, we had a cable committee meeting last night, and these notes are longer than the meeting. So I just want to say that the contract for the Comcast agreement has been approved by the BPU. Our BA, Mr. Hartwick, will have several meetings to make sure that the contract is rolled out appropriately. We also discussed, while we were at the league, I ran into the attorney for AT&T, and Mr. Hartwick has since had phone conversations, so he will be coming to the council. If you recall, early this year, AT&T came before this governing body, so he will be presenting the current document before us for consideration. And finally, as we all know, Fios is in the city of Orange, and Fios, like Comcast, offers the ability to have, what do we call them? Channels, public access channels. So we're at the point where RBA will be meeting with Verizon and Fios to discuss us acquiring public access channels, and we ask that we kind of keep everything the same as the Comcast, meaning we have 2 channels now on the Comcast, so it's our desire to have 2 channels on the Fios. And the committee also, Councilwoman Wooten brought to our attention that this committee is a little bit more detailed than our standard committees, and there's a whole rollout of additional members that have to be appointed, and Mr. Hartwick, perhaps we'll just have a, because the mayor has an appointment and everything, so we'll have a brief conversation with you, and even if you're not at the December meeting, we will hope council all the appointments of December so they can be ready to go by January. Thank you, Council President.
You're welcome. Planning?
We have a meeting next week.
Okay. ABC?
We're in need of, we're still that's in transition right now.
Okay. Anything from the library?
Actually, Council President, I know that Councilwoman Easton wanted to announce this. I'm just reminding her that at the meeting on the 28th, the planning board will be considering the master plan.
Okay. That's wonderful. All right. Nothing from the library. Public Works Committee, I don't see anyone here.
No?
You have an update from the police department?
I do.
Okay.
Director Todd Warren apologizes. He had an emergency child care matter come up. I met him here at 6:30, and he provided me with the following update. In the past 10 days, the department has apprehended 3 individuals at Main and Park in possession of 9.6 grams of marijuana and 48 glassine envelopes of heroin. The Powell Culinary Arts Kickoff has taken place with the Oakwood Avenue School, and that'll be ongoing for the next couple months. The department participated with the mayor and administration in the distribution of turkeys at senior buildings and at City Hall. And tomorrow, Wednesday, November 21st, at the Church of the Epiphany, 105 Main Street, OPD will be participating with Mayor Warren and Senator Cory Booker, who will be here at 9:30 in the morning for turkey distribution out of that facility.
Okay, thank you. Fire department, I don't see anyone. He's here. Is he? Where? Okay, Director. My fault, Director. You're right in front of me. I got to change my glasses.
Good evening, Kenneth Douglas, Fire Director.
Okay, Director. My fault.
I apologize for the last couple of times I haven't been here through a conflict of schedule. Some training I'm actually in I guess because of the election, it got switched to the days that I actually had night training. So I sent representatives in place. But I'm here to give you a report, a biweekly report of the fire department. I want to thank those individuals who stood in my place and gave an effective report to bring the council and its governing body up to date on the happenings of the Orange Fire Department. This report is for the last 2 weeks from November 8th all the way to the 19th of November. Currently, for that 2-year period, the fire department has responded to 73 alarms. To date, we have responded to 2,452 alarms in total. This puts us right on track as the amount of alarms that we have on an annual basis. There's no further alarms or more alarms that I've seen in average in years past, but this is kind of the average that we're going without any surges. Also, we had no major fire incidents, 4 alarms, 3 alarms, or 2 alarms. We had some mutual aid for Montclair, East Orange, and West Orange, and multiple assistance from a vehicle that was struck by motorists, rendered to struck motorists through the city of Orange during a snowstorm last week. Currently, right now, we're hosting the New Jersey State Fire Inspector course again. We do have 12 students in the class that's comprised of Orange firefighters and also some individuals that work in the code enforcement in the city of Orange. The PGIF, actually our insurance company, insurance carrier, they're continually with their training with the Orange Fire Department. Recently we did cancer awareness classes. All 4 tours had to sit for that, and they come out with certifications. Annual hose test for all the fire pumpers, that started today. And this Thursday, we are hosting our annual Gift to Give Thanksgiving feast at the firehouse. Just a little information. Before I go into that, I just want to go into, on the 3rd of November, on a Saturday, we installed smoke detectors in the North Ward. Now, part of the team went to the South Ward and part of the West Ward. We have found out that those particular wards are in need of smoke detectors, some of the larger homes. So I partnered with Mr. Aziz from the high school, and we're going to start a task force probably in December, if not January, so we can go to all the homes and make sure that we have enough smoke detectors for those homes that don't have. And I was surprised because one home actually installed 5 smoke detectors. Now, so that right there tells me you have hundreds of homes in that one section of the city that may not have sufficient smoke detectors for their town. And we're looking to also get some donated, because a lot of combination smoke detectors with 10-year combination carbon monoxide and smoke detectors are needed in the township. I know they're at a heavy cost, but we're going to try to get some of the businesses and some organizations to donate those smoke detectors to the town so the residents can have the privilege of having that type of coverage. And just going back to the gift to give, the annual Thanksgiving feast at the Orange Fire Department starts at 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's at 419 Central Avenue on the corner of Lincoln and Central. Every year we feed between 600 to 800 people. It's more geared towards those who are less fortunate, but being a community-based fire department, we encourage everybody and all residents to come out and join us for a Thanksgiving dinner. We are still taking calls for volunteers, so for those who are interested, and residents are interested in organizations that would like to volunteer for this event, they can reach us at the fire department at 973-266-4230. That's 973-266-4230.
What times?
11 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's on Thursday, Thanksgiving Day.
Council President,
Yes.
through you to Director, I would like to let you know that I called Captain Padilla to give him what I thought was great news. I was visiting a church this Sunday in Orange, and at the end of service during their announcements, they did announce that they have a community outreach program, and they're picking the fire department as their community outreach, and that they were sending people over. So I was glad to hear that. So I was, just it's good to hear unexpected things like that. But I know this church will be sending people over to come participate on Sunday.
That is excellent.
Council President?
Yes, Councilman
I
Johnson.
asked the director somewhat of a question. I don't want to try to stump you, but I know on my homeowner's insurance policy on the renewal, it asks if there's smoke detectors.
Yes.
So I mean, this to me it seems that we have a bigger problem for homeowners and so forth if they don't have fire detectors. It's a major insurance issue also. So when we're doing this whole education piece,
Yes.
we got to get the word out, man. I mean, either people are skipping that questionnaire or they just avoiding it or what.
I think what I've ran across with some of these homes is that they have old smoke detectors. It was some of them that probably needed batteries, but the ones we install have the lithium 10-year batteries.
Okay.
And they don't even know the fact that they don't work. We went
Right.
some at their age, you say that they're yellow, and actually the non-volts or the AA don't even work. They haven't even tested them.
Okay,
So we
gotcha.
actually did them a favor just by coming in the home. I'm glad they opened the door to us. But, I'd rather them be safe than sorry. And something that's simple and it's free. They can put in their home to help them save,
Well, I'll be working with you, Cameron, and West Ward.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Any other questions for the fire director? I have one.
Yes, sir.
I noticed on several of the fire hydrants, we had that little seal stating that it's not working.
Okay.
When do you plan on getting those fire hydrants repaired?
There are 14 fire hydrants that are on a priority list for repair. There are 5 additional hydrants where there are leaks that are preventing them from being in operation. All those repairs should be done by the end of the year.
Okay.
There's also an inventory that's been done of all of the hydrants. And that inventory is used to prioritize where we go next, because there are some others beyond those 19 that I just mentioned that need some attention or updating.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Director.
Yes, and I would like to wish everyone, this governing body, and all residents of the city of Orange Township a happy Thanksgiving, and please be safe out there. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
very much, Director. Same to you.
Anything from housing?
Actually, they're having a meeting right now, so we're getting an update.
And we had 2 retiree law. So we had 2 Orange residents, lifelong Orange residents who have been with the Housing Authority for a great period of time, and they're both retiring. So we want to send our best on their new next life to Peggy Milton and to Mike Fryer. The council's being asked to consider Peggy's resolution that we recognize her for her service at the Housing Authority, and Mike Fryer is to follow. We couldn't connect, so I didn't want to be redundant in doing it, but Mike Fryer would be on the next meeting for your consideration.
I just, in addition to that, there's another, being that we want to talk about Housing Authority employees, Maureen Major Archie, who was a 30-plus year employee at the Housing Authority who passed away
I agree.
suddenly. I just personally feel if we're going to be, honoring people, for their service, do it all at one time.
I concur.
Either piecemealing it, it's just a smack in people's face. That's just how I feel about it. So I just personally feel that whoever this governing body wants to honor at the Housing Authority, it should be one, all at one meeting, rather than doing this person and doing that person. That's just how I feel about it.
Well, Council President, just if you recall, this is just the formal process that we can get it, actually bringing them in to honor them. It will be, but for Peggy is retiring and packing up and leaving, so she will no longer be an Orange resident come November 30th. So that's why we're moving fast to do that. And so we really wanted to, and I think we also want to try to get it done to have her here tonight, but we wouldn't be able to do that. But she is leaving November 30th. But yeah, Maureen, of course, classmate of mine, and Mike Fryer, they will be on at the next meeting, not a problem.
Any of the council members, questions, comments about these resolutions, or whatever? All right. Madam Clerk, please.
Communications and petitions, New Jersey Transit public hearing notice is scheduled for Wednesday, December 19, 2018, at 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. at the New Jersey Transit Headquarters, Conference Room 10A, 2 Penn Plaza East, Newark, New Jersey, regarding programs developed pursuant to the Senior Citizens and Disabled Residents Transportation Assistance Program, which is the SCDRTAP Act. Citizen comments.
Before, Council President, before you move, did we get a copy of that letter?
No, but I can provide you with one.
Okay, would you be so kind? And Mr. Hartwick, can we, and they may say no, but can you just ask Transit if they open our space so they can do a meeting here? I was, while we were at the league, they gave a public meeting down there for the meeting, so I know they move around occasionally, so can we just...
You remember when we had that meeting, their response, when we asked them about coming here?
No, let's ask them again. I mean, things may be different,
Yeah,
but,
I'm
okay.
happy to ask them.
Just so we can
I
have
have
more
a
of
lot
our
of other
residents
things
to be
to
able to
talk to
weigh
them
in.
about, too, so.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Pursuant to Section 4-10 of the City Code of the City of Orange Township, each person addressing the council shall step up to the microphone, shall give his or her name and address in an audible tone and for the record, and unless further time is granted by the presiding officer, shall limit his or her address to 5 minutes. The public is expected to conduct themselves in a proper manner. Any derogatory, abusive, or threatening statements will not be permitted. The chair will immediately rule each conduct out of order and terminate any further comments.
Okay. Juan Sanchez?
Good evening, my name is Juan Sanchez. I'm here because of
I'll state your address, Mr. Sanchez, please.
You said I'm Juan Sanchez.
Juan Sanchez.
Your address.
Yes.
Your address.
My address, 336 South Center Street.
Okay.
The reason why I'm here is because I've been a resident of Orange for the past 3 years, and my taxes have been increasing every year. And I just received a letter in the mail saying that my taxes were going to go up an additional $2,000. Currently, my taxes are $20,229. My question to, I guess, to the council members is, what is the town doing to prevent these tax increases year over year? I don't think for the residents this is something that is sustainable, and there should be other ways to generate revenue. Orange is one of the towns where housing prices are still low compared to other towns, but the taxes are higher, and the residents don't receive the benefits from other towns. So maybe one way for you to address the lack of revenue is in some ways to decrease the taxes so you can bring other people in that want to purchase homes in Orange, instead of keeping houses going into foreclosure, houses that are empty, or people that are not paying their mortgages or their taxes. I just don't think that is something that it will be sustainable. That's all.
Okay, we'll have a response after the end of the public comments.
Sure.
Okay. Any other?
Mr. Sanchez, you said 336 South Center?
Yes.
Okay, and how many units is that?
3 units.
3 units, okay.
Thank you, Council.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Fell?
Good evening. My name is Jeffrey Feld, a local businessman, attorney, and a mortgagee whose local business address is 268 Main Street, Orange, New Jersey. As my custom, I've delivered a heads-up and a supplemental memo to the council and various other documents. I hope that it's referred to in the minutes, so I'll be incorporating my references to that. Again, this Thursday is Thanksgiving. On behalf of my family and my employees, we wish everyone to enjoy the holiday with others. As our tradition, we have made our annual contribution to the fire department to help feed the people that need to be fed in this community, and I invite others to make gifts for the Christmas and the Thanksgiving holiday. In this Thanksgiving, I ask people, remember the president who honored the war dead, that being Lincoln, and remember that the Gettysburg Address was given on Thanksgiving and was commemorating our war dead who gave their lives, unlike our recent president who sort of skipped that event almost 11 days ago. I want to emphasize, I want to thank the scheduling that was announced earlier and some of the explanations. I want everyone to understand that there is a planning board public hearing on the master plan. I ask and I request that the updated master plan that was filed on that's dated November 9th be put it on the city's public website prior to that meeting. In addition, in April, we were promised that the offering statement that was used in the last November 30th bond issuance and note issuance be posted, the link be posted. No, it hasn't been. I haven't found it yet. But because there is an issue now with the Board of Education's bond issue, as to what happened. And there's questions as to whether the use of the bond proceeds that were authorized by the council, whether the school board is going to use for a different purpose. But I'd like to make sure, I'll check again to make sure that the offering statement that was issued by the city council is on the website, because I'm getting delayed by the Board of Education, because before this meeting, I received another letter from them asking for additional time to respond to my Oprah request. Regarding Oprah, I'm still waiting for a written response to my request regarding the FBI calendar year 2018 subpoenas. As I've asked, also, I think I'm entitled, and because I'm an attorney and I have an obligation to the court system, I'm still trying to figure out the status, because on February 7th, the city and myself made a representation to the appellate division that one of my cases was settled subject to the approval of the city council. That settlement has never been presented to the city council, and that's outlined in my supplemental letter. Please, in the future, when you talk about the cost givebacks, refunds, if you could put that amount in the caption, that would be helpful, because one of the amounts was a large amount, $25,000, and I think the people need to know that. As to the Nishuan resolution, please may change the caption, because I like the clarification that all you're doing is reallocating the monies for this year, because when we read it, we thought it was really a retention for calendar year 2019, just to clarify that. Also, yesterday, I thank the clerks for sending me the operating reports for October, the revenue and operating reports. If possible, I'd ask that to be posted on the public website, because there's some questions I've been always asking about. Like on the revenue side, why certain pilots aren't listed on it. This is like every month I ask the same thing, like why isn't Harvard Printing Press, Walter G. Phase 3? If you also look as to the utilities, the numbers don't really add up. And I think we really have to start looking at this. This ties into the comments prior to me about the budgets. Also, when you look at your bill list, the last 3 bill lists, there's a purchase orders that are attached. And I think based on my discussions, there's maybe a 30-day delay between that purchase order and maybe the operating reports, that everyone should understand, because when you look at the operating reports, some of the line items we're at 100% or 90%, and we're in basically that's in October, so we have 2 more months, and it's a question about budgeting. And I think that's always what we're always asking about. Again, I always talk about some of the financial documentation being posted. As to FELD 18, I just ask that a retention resolution be adopted at some point, because we always talk about the shelf registration, because this is a specific case. I filed the answer. I filed a courtesy copy of the answer that was filed by the city. You all received a copy of my my notice of demand about monetary sanctions, but I think we need to be on there. All right? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Again, enjoy the holidays.
You too, thank you.
Hey, Jeff.
Ms. Stewart?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Gloria Stewart, a resident of Orange. I would first like to say my usual about our financial director, and as I go through the paperwork that you have, I see that Ms. Lascaria, if I'm reading it correctly, she's going into retirement. And so my thing is, as it relates to the acting, the whatever Mr. Mapp is, if it gives him the open door to move into her place. So I would like some explanation on that, if it's not too much to ask. And then the mayor, again, he doesn't see fit to grace us with his presence, and I'm going to continue to say that. And I want to just back up some years ago. We had a financial director who referred to me as a gadfly. And at first it bothered me, but when I thought about it and did my research, that's what Socrates was, all right? That's how he got things done, by coming and reminding the people in charge of what needed to be done or should be done. And so as I go back to the meeting that we just had, and I had to wait 2 weeks, there was a lot of conversation about the people coming up. And I say to all of you, when you came, that was a reason for you to put your name in for the position that you have run for. You saw something, you wanted to make a difference. So what I'm saying, I thought about it, it referred to me. I come all the time, and I remind you of why we are here and why we shouldn't be. Not to call anybody dumb or that you need to do research, but just to remind you. I also had a history teacher some years ago, many years ago, that told me it is the minority who points out the weaknesses of the majority. Does not have to be in numbers, but in power. So when you look at that, if you're in control, that's what you should be doing. And then I want to go to that. We were making some concerns about recognition of the people who have gone on, if they did anything for Orange. But there's a way where you reach out, even if they have not done anything. Maybe if you reach out to them and show them some sign, they will come aboard. You understand? You just don't push them aside. And what's wrong with giving a person recognition, even if they're on the county level? You know, there's an umbrella, so we want to be part. So you do that. You recognize them. We just nitpick about little things, and we need to stop that. And if you want to call it criticizing, and if I have to wait for the next 2 weeks to come in and comment, I would do that. But I want us to come together as a council to make this city better, instead of, why they did. People gonna make comments about what you do. And what you should do is to keep doing things to make this city a great place. I don't want to say what number 45 uses, but we want to make Orange a better city to live in. Comcast, I understand that you're making some meetings with them, and I certainly hope the different entities that you will get, and I think you did indicate that you would give us a report on how it goes and how is it going to benefit us as residents of Orange. One other thing I want to ask, if you will, reconsider if the young man came up and made a comment. Sometimes they might not be able to wait for the end of the meeting, and then they might not be able to look at it on your broadcasting. But if we can make it some way where you can give the answer to our response, because it has a different meaning when we come before, like I ask you certain things, if you can give a response, short or long, let us know then behind the discussion. It makes a difference than to wait until the end of the meeting, the public session, to respond to questions. It takes away some of the fire from it. And then I want to go to the idea of no report on the library. And I was sitting here giving, some of the responses. Let us know if it's not, we're in progress, we're doing X, Y, and Z. That's my expectation of what we need to do. And I remember Ms. Gunn, and I'm history, been coming a long time. She used to look at the public, and she would say, invite us to come back the next time to bring your concern to the public. She didn't knock you for being here for whatever you had to say. You might not agree with it, but she was here to let us know. So let's remember that. We're all in this boat together. If one hole comes in one end, it's going to cause the boat to sink if you don't help dip that water out. So that sound means that I'm done, but I can come back the next. If I have to stew in what's said, I'll come back.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart.
Is there a motion to close citizen comment?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Wooten, second by Councilwoman Williams. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Okay, we'll work back. Mr. Stewart asked about Mr. Matt taking Mr. Lascari's job, but that's a personal matter?
That's correct.
Okay, that can be discussed. And I know that this governing body has always answered questions after the public speaks, but there is no law or rule that govern us to answer questions, but this is just what the governing body has been doing. And Mr. B.A., you have Mr. Fell's comments or questions?
I do.
Okay.
He wasn't first, though.
So, taking them in order, I think we've explained the current procedural status with regard to the 3 rec ordinances. The written responses to the calendar year 2018 FBI subpoena will be forthcoming from the Law Department. With regard to the amended master plan, the master plan in its current draft, as will be presented to the planning board, will be posted on the website. I've already made those arrangements. I've already announced that there's a public hearing on November 28th. The best practices inventory will be posted on the website possibly tomorrow. There is, in fact, a lag in terms of the operating and revenue reports. We're working on closing that lag. It's approximately 30 days. I've announced the upcoming schedule of events, except I left off the local finance board meeting, which is on December 12th, at which we will have 2 applications. Those applications are for the RAB bond and the $10 million road bond, infrastructure bank ordinance. I explained resolutions 330, 331, 332, and 333. We also explained the $25 fee resolution. We've explained the Nishuane Group service buckets and the amendment, and I can understand how that title might lead somebody to think it was something else. I think that's what happened to me last night. The information related to affordable housing and to the pilots and opportunity zones, the reason I didn't say that the master plan would be posted tomorrow is because I had a conversation and there are going to be some additional things added to the master plan that will be presented to the planning board that should cover those topics in greater detail. Let's see. There was no outside redevelopment council used in connection with the master plan. The Main Street need for redevelopment designation study was all handled in-house. I have also written and addressed the concern regarding certain pilot projects not being included in the monthly revenue reports. And I'm working currently with the tax assessor's office, the tax collector's office, and the finance office to remedy those omissions. Explain the, 17 I'm not going to get into right now. Let's see. The retention resolution we will address. And on 18, it's there. If you look, we've changed the transparency page to a financial transparency page, and just about everything that we do financially is listed on that page, including the link to the official statements. And then I think that covers.
Okay, Mr. B.A., Mr. Sanchez.
I have a card here, Mr. Sanchez, and I would like to give it to you, and I'd like you to come in, and I'll set up a meeting with the tax assessor. I have some ideas about your tax bill.
Sit, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Stewart, how does the microphone sound? Are we clear? Yeah, are we clear? It's muffled? Okay. Council comments?
Before you do that, Mr. Hartwick, can you just say, for the record, for those who may not know, that when they do have questions about their bill, that they can do just what you said? Because sometimes if they come in and brought their tax bill in and sit down with the tax assessor, may give them a greater understanding or,
Yeah. Anybody who's out there listening or here in the audience, if you get a tax bill and you have a question, although it might seem counterintuitive, you should really pick up the phone and call the assessor's office or the business administrator's office, and we'll walk you through what you can do. It's not uncommon in municipal government for an overassessment to happen or an underassessment, and we'll be pretty candid with you about what our experience is in terms of other properties.
thank you.
Also, there's just one other item. There were several orange cases that were highlighted in the municipal law year-end review, which was presented at the League of Municipalities, and I would commend to everybody's reading that outline which has been provided to you. Frequently, the council hears criticism about the 5-minute limitation on people's time. There's a very interesting comment in there about public comment. In fact, what they basically say is that 5 minutes is too much.
And Council President, I'll just add, and what was actually said was that we're the only person in the state with 5 minutes. 3 minutes is probably the norm, and they want a municipality to be mindful that the chair always has the ability, the discretion, should he need to extend everybody, one person, whoever. But this is a consensus of all cases throughout the state, and that was one of the observations made. So.
And Council President, if I may go even further.
I was going to, but go ahead, you can take a little further.
Thank you, sir. Just a further comment on Councilwoman Williams, it's not even probably a suggested time frame of 3 minutes. There's actually a proposed amendment before this legislature right now to cap it as 3 minutes. So it's, and there's nothing preventing the municipality from going from 5 to 3 minutes and capping it at 3, as the proposed amendment is actually before the state legislature for consideration. So again, I have to remind the public, again, comments from the floor are certainly
Yes.
not appropriate.
I will, and in addition to that, I think I made the comment just a few minutes ago that the public comment of the meeting, that's exactly what it is, public comment. It's not a Q&A. But we have been, we kind of transitioned this portion of the meeting into a Q&A. But it's a public comment, not a public Q&A. Thank you.
Council President,
Yes, Councilwoman Summers Johnson.
are we ready for comments?
Madam Clerk, yes, we are.
Okay, my South Ward meeting, my next South Ward meeting is on the 29th at 6:30.
This month?
This month, yes, next week, at Our Lady of the Valley Church. It's the last meeting until January. I don't have a meeting in December. So I encourage residents to come out. Directors always show up, and we don't really have a limit to how long you can ask questions. Many residents walk in with the questions written down. I hand it to the director, so when they come up to speak, they address those questions. So that's open to any resident in Orange or anyone that cares about Orange. I don't make you show ID to make sure you live in the South Ward, but sometimes there's business that's talked about that pertains to the South Ward, but all residents are welcome. I had a great time at the League. I wasn't able to go, I think, like 2 years with my son's surgery, so it was just fun to be around people in government, and the sprinkling of color is really changing. The amount of women that are there is changing, and it's just a really good feeling. And sitting with other council people as they not really criticize, but as they explain some of the things that we do in our council meeting and how we could do it better and make it run more efficiently. And I know I talked with Councilwoman Wooten. I definitely wanted to visit some of the surrounding towns just because you can always learn. I'm a teacher. I learn something new every day. So that's something that I would like to do, just to see what they're doing. Maybe something they do would work in Orange. I would also like to thank those residents that reach out to me prior to council meetings, in between the meetings, during the day. If I can't respond, I'll text back, because I literally get a lot of stuff done via text, via email, calling BA Chris, and it just, to me, I feel like they're holding me accountable, and I appreciate that. I know everyone cannot come out here to these meetings, and those that do, we thank you also. But for those, please understand that there are things being moved that you may not see. You may not see every resident and every concern they have, but I know the way they reach out to me, I'm pretty sure they reach out to other council in the same way. I just want to speak as far as the council goes. I was just telling my mother on the way here, I was saying the meetings are feeling as though we're really working together. I feel like we're being respectful towards each other. I feel like we're listening to each other. And even though it's like a family, and with all families, you don't always get along, you don't always agree. But I think that it's okay for us to agree and disagree. But I just don't want us to go back to how it was when I first got on the council, where it was just like a lot of tension in the public. Some people in the public really like that. Like, it sells papers, it's news, it's on Real Talk. Let's not give in to that. Let's let our meetings be as businesslike as possible, and it's not easy. It's not easy. And I was just talking to myself over here, like, be good, Jamie, be good, because I want to be a better person. I want to be a better leader. There are young people that want to get into city government, and I don't want them to think that this is how it's supposed to be, because there are some things that it's just not supposed to be like that. Thank you to Public Works for working so quickly and so hard. Residents called me, said they were shoveled in. I called Public Works, they went right over there, and I thank them for that. This Thanksgiving will be so special for me. It'll be my normal family members, but I unofficially adopted a whole college student, and he has really fallen on hard times. His mother's been on drugs his whole life. His dad did 16 years in jail, and he's 18. So this year, I'm going to bring him to the fire department with me. He'll be at my house, and it's just a good feeling to give back and reach back, and you just don't know. People have lost a lot of family members around the holidays, and let's just be mindful for those that are celebrating Thanksgiving for the first time without certain family members. So you are in my prayers. I hope to see all of you at the firehouse. That, to me, is the true meaning of Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Williams?
Thank you. Ms. Stewart, you asked a question about the Comcast agreement and how does it benefit us. This is an agreement that the governing body and administration approves every 10 years. And there were several items in there. There's a grant to give new equipment. We've increased, I'm most proud of what this council did was that we have increased the stations from 1 to 2. So now the city has a station, and we have negotiated another station that will be housed at the Board of Education or somewhere within the board for the students and for the school system, and that will give more access from the municipal government side and from the education side. There were other things, am I missing anything? Just as a, it was, the grant was really the big, for the upgrade of equipment and the addition of the station. So excited, and that's one of the things that Mr. Hartwick will go and see where they'll put the new station, build out the new station. I wanted to talk about Resolution 328, 2018, a resolution celebrating the life of Burton Walter Seabold. I want us to pay attention to the first and second whereas, and I'm going to read it. Whereas the city of Orange Township, New Jersey, mourns the passing of Burton Walter Seabold, also affectionately known as Bert. And whereas we come together during this time of sadness to pay tribute to and celebrate the life of Burton Walter Seabold, who was a vital and central force in his family and valued member of the greater Essex community. Then it goes on, just to give you, graduated from Uppsala, he served in the military, born in Newark, educated in Newark school system. And then it closes like this. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Orange Township do hereby offer sincere condolences to the family and friends of Walter Seabold, and may the warm memories bring joy and comfort in the days ahead. And I just need us to understand, this is a letter of sympathy from the governing body. If we were doing this individually, sure, we would send a card. But when we act as in concert, 7 persons, this is the way we act. We act by resolution. We don't do a card and sign 7 names and send that, because we are a governing body. And once we move past 3 people, this is the way we act. And this is just simply a resolution of sympathy. And I want us to remember that. And on the opposite side, when we have somebody here in the city of Orange that passed, I have the clerk's office do something standard, and that's send out an email to all of our representatives that represents this district from the federal on down. And never have I ever heard Senator Booker say, Councilwoman Williams, what have they done for the United States of America? I never heard Congressman Payne say, hey, what have they done for the 10th Congressional District? And so on and so forth. Because what we understand is that we all serve in our individual capacity, and we make our community better by doing what we're called to do individually. And again, these are letters of sympathy that we as a city of Orange, that we will say to our freeholder, we mourn with you. And this is how we do it as a governing body. And I also wanted to talk about the snow event. I just wanted to, I know that we were down at the league, and there were persons that were here that are that had to leave out early because they are part of the first response in times of snow. And when I called to see, you know, what could we do, how is everything going, specifically, Mr. Winfield let me know that he left out at like 6 o'clock that morning. He was on the ground putting out salt. He had to block off some streets, and that if I could do anything, which you did, and I believe I know Councilwoman Summers Johnson did the same, is to ask that if anybody had any issues that we were not aware of, to please call this number or call us. So I just want to thank everybody that came out. That storm was unprecedented, and it was a lot happened, and we'll let you know, Mr. Hartwick, that I reached out to our Essex County liaison, Tim, to see if we can do a collective meeting just to see how we can do things a little different. And I know I spoke to John Arnold, who works in emergency management, and actually what he said to me, Don, is the immediate thing that we can do is we can change it from OEM to OEP, which means Orange Emergency Preparation, and that's all across the state, because you kind of do things different when you're not managing something, but you're preparing for that, and I thought that was awesome, and I hope that when we have the meeting at the county, that becomes helpful. And finally, I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy time with your family. I will not be at the Macy's Day Parade this year because it'll be too cold, but I will be at the fire station. Thank you, Council President.
You're quite welcome. Councilwoman Wooten.
And I'm sorry, one more thing, Council President. There are a couple of things going out that I know the tree is there. The tree lighting will be on November 28th, and that's it. The other ones I can wait for the first meeting. Thank you.
Councilwoman Wooten.
Council President, first and foremost, I want to say happy Thanksgiving to all of the residents of the city of Orange Township, from my family to yours. Secondly, I also want to reiterate that the League of Municipalities was an exciting time for me this year. I called B.A. Hartwick. We were on the phone about an hour about some courses that I attended. One that I wish we could enact tonight, but we can't, which is Code Blue, which is a program, if you're not aware of, is whenever the temperature reaches 25 degrees without precipitation or 32 degrees with precipitation, some cities have chosen to have an emergency shelter for people who are homeless. So a city that does this is Bridgeton, New Jersey, and they were there explaining that to us. As I explained to them, we do, in the city of Orange Township, do Code Red, but it's not Code Red in such that it deals with homelessness. So the BA and I are going to be talking about that. Also, some community policing ideas I heard, and we're going to be reaching out to the police department to talk about that. Councilwoman Summers and I went to a class called The Power of the Black Church in White America. And when we got in there, it was not what we thought it was going to be. It was almost like, well, I'm not going to say what it was almost like, but anyway, it wasn't what we thought it was going to be.
We ran out.
It was interesting. But the first speaker kind of like spooked us, and we ran out because we didn't want anybody from our church to see us in there. But the League of Municipality, people think it's like a place where you go to party. It's a place where you go to learn things. We went to Councilwoman Eason's program where she was awarded by the Lieutenant Governor and some people that had dealt with the League, and proud to serve with her and proud to be there with her on that. So it was just a really good time. I was also sitting here when Councilwoman Summers spoke, and she and I spoke recently that the council and Councilman Harold Johnson's, we also spoke, like going down the stairs after city council meeting a couple of weeks ago, that we are finally, like together as a unit, we are finally on the right path. And we know that opposition and things are going to come against us, but when you're a collective group, it's going to be hard for people to like tear us down. So like right now, I'm just really proud to be a part of this city council. I'm proud to serve with each and one of you. And I've talked enough, so I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to each and every one of you. And may God bless and keep your families. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Eason.
Be honored, Councilwoman.
That's right. I also first want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Stay safe, stay healthy, and to my council colleagues, happy Thanksgiving with your family. And to the director, I'm planning on traveling to North Carolina, so I probably won't be at the firehouse. That is if I can convince my son to drive, but if he don't drive, then I'll be at the firehouse. So, but I want to go home to see my family and to enjoy North Carolina just for a couple of days. Also, St. Matthew's will be hosting a Thanksgiving Day dinner. We're having service at 11, and the dinner starts at 12, so if you don't get enough to eat at the firehouse, you can
drive on over to St. Matthews and have some food and take some home. So we invite everybody in the community. One of the things I wanted to ask the director, do we ever reach out to the veterans on Oakwood Avenue that, I don't know what the address of, Councilman Kohler, you know what the address of that house is?
You talking about Denzel's?
Yeah, Denzel's
On
house.
Hillside Avenue?
Yeah, because I was going to go over there and invite them to St. Matthews, but do we ever reach out to them and ask them to come over and partake? Because I don't think sometimes the information gets around. I see them walking in the neighborhood, but maybe that's something one of the firemen can do this week.
Kenneth Douglas, Fire Director. Yes, we have Captain Anderson. He's going around to those particular locations because he's from Orange. So I'll ask him tomorrow once he comes to work to see if he did go to that location.
Right.
But we still have one more day of canvassing the neighborhood to get as many people as possible to the firehouse.
Okay, so because maybe some of them might want to come out for a heart meal.
Yes.
And maybe give them a takeout tray to take home.
Of course.
I just said one of the things I plan to do this year, try and do more for the veterans.
Absolutely.
Because I think they deserve it. And I want to say that I attended the league, also had a wonderful time. I learned a lot. On Thursday, I spent most of my time on the exhibit floor. Met a lot of interesting vendors. Picked up a lot of cards from Mr. Hartwig. I have a couple of programs that
I'm sorry.
I need you to listen to this. I have a couple of programs that I think we can implement in Orange to help us raise some money. So I haven't unpacked yet, but I have a couple of cards that I need to drop off and some information that you might be interested in.
Anything to make money interesting.
Exactly. And hopefully this will make us some money that we can put towards something. But I also attended a seminar on our prisoners returning home from jail, reentry. And I also want to pick that up. I talked to Mayor Ross Baraka, and I told him that Orange, unfortunately, we're not tapping into some of the services that the big cities are getting, and they're not flowing to their sister communities. Because every time you open your mouth and say Essex County, they say, "You from Newark?" And I had to remind them constantly, Newark is not the only city in Essex County, but we do have a little city called Orange that we're going to need some help with, and with the Jersey City. Former Governor McGreevey lost his mother, so he wasn't there at the, and I think she lived in Plainfield. So then send his condolences to them also. But I also want to talk briefly about, as a council person, I've been doing this, I guess, and the wisdom I've accumulated through the years and the things I've learned. And I've learned how to be patient, but I also learned, and in fact, I made a statement at the last council meeting, and I was talking to one of the employees the next week, and he said, remember what you said at the council meeting, but like, don't go back into the past, continue into the future, let bygones be. I said, oops, somebody was listening. But I also want to make a statement that when people ask questions, especially counsel, that is my right. If I'm concerned about something, I have a right to ask that question without being chastised because you feel one way and I feel something different. We're two different people. I asked that question because I was concerned and I had a right to ask it. And whether you like it or not, we all have rights here, and we've come together as a council, and I think we've come together enough that we can be honest and talk to each other about things that we're concerned about without being defensive, and because everything any of us do, some are right, some are wrong. Some is going to rub some people the wrong way, and some are going to rub the others the wrong way. But I also want the residents to understand, I will fight 150% for Orange and the rights of the residents of Orange. But also, I have the right to question things what I don't think is, and maybe it's just me, maybe it's my personal opinion, but it is my opinion. So when people get up here and they talk about derogative statements about, you shouldn't say this, that's my right to do that. You may not like it, but it's still mine. Just like I don't impede on what you say, don't impede on what I say, because I am concerned, and I think it's a valid concern. Have no problem with recognizing and sending your condolences, but I still asked the question, which I thought was appropriate, because I was concerned about that. Because you're going to have a lot of residents sitting out there saying, well, my mother died, my father died, or my sister died, and nobody recognized. They lived in Orange all their lives. So I just wanted to put it on the record and ask the question. And whether you like it or not, I had the right to do that. So if you got offended, that's on you, and I'm sorry. But I'm not going to apologize for my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Jackson.
Thank you very much, Council President. I'd like to reiterate some of what has been said regarding our ability and willingness and success in working together. Although I do enjoy some contention every now and then, it gives us an opportunity to grow and to see things from a different point of view, as each of us have our own perception about how things are and how they should be. So I know that I'm not always right, and I'm welcoming opportunities to be correct in what I'm doing and thinking. As it pertains to paying homage to people, certainly I support that, and I will be supporting this particular resolution. But I think that as this legislative body is more than just me and our persons, our individual selves, that if there is more information that links any person more closely to this town, then we can put that on the record, and it won't reduce maybe the effect of our condolences or just tie that particular person deeper to the city of Orange. And as I said, the absence of that is not going to have, it's not going to result in me not supporting this, because I take the word of the councilwoman who sponsored this particular legislation, but I feel as though she has information we do not. That's all it is. And hopefully that anyone who perceives that reflects upon this person who we honor, please don't take it that way. It's not about that person. I believe that we should be paying homage to people. I'm just asking for that extra step, and that won't stop me from supporting that. As it goes with Thanksgiving, I'd like to also wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, in that it is uniquely a unique holiday, at least my understanding of the United States of America. I have friends who come from other countries, and that's one thing that they really enjoy about being in America, is that we take that time off to spend time together as family, as a holiday, and it transcends religions, nationalities, and it is really something special about our country. And hopefully the benevolence that we feel on Thanksgiving will extend to the rest of the year, and we'll consider those who are so much less fortunate than ourselves in deciding who we support politically, how we challenge our government, and those other things that we have opportunities to do as legislators. I tell people about getting involved. I always give thanks to those who come forward, and I don't see it as necessarily holding our feet to the fire, but to point out things that they see differently. Because it's easy to feel self-righteous to some degree when you're the one taking the vote, when and I'm glad that every now and then people ask us what we're doing and why we're doing it, and give us an opportunity to explain ourselves and to contemplate maybe our motivation or reasoning behind making certain decisions. So it's a healthy way of including citizens, and I think the citizens have an obligation. It shouldn't be the same 4 or 5 people every couple of weeks. It should be more people who come to find out what's happening, and I'm looking forward to those days when both sides of this Faulkner Act government are unified for those 2 days during the month, when citizens can come ask, not just the business administrator, not just the department heads, but also the mayor, about how we're managing this government together. It's an exciting time. We have to be strong, and I think we are strengthening, and I look forward to fulfilling the rest of this year and the next in service to the city of Orange. Thanks so much.
Council President,
Councilman Johnson.
I appreciate that ride down to Atlantic City, man.
Anytime, you know that, man.
I appreciate
Nice,
that.
nice.
I'll drive down next year. Not. I want to extend a warm Thanksgiving holiday greetings to everybody in West Ward, North Ward, South Ward, East Ward, all the Orangites. Be safe this holiday. Get neighbors and participate in all the wonderful feed programs that are going around within the fire department and various churches. That I think that's a great event that day that brings people together, not only your own personal family, but our citywide family. That's, Council President, that's all I want to do, just mention a happy holiday to everybody. I'm finished.
Thank you, sir. I'll be brief as well. First, I just want to wish a happy belated Veterans Day to all our veterans out there. Thank you for your service, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And I guess Mr. B.A. or the city attorney, maybe you guys can help me with this issue. I meant to address it some time ago, but it got kind of buried. We need a few mailboxes. Maybe I need to go to the post office and speak to the postmaster, but we need a mailbox at the senior building, 125 Wilson Place and 132 William Street.
Big blue box, right?
Yeah, mailbox, so they can easily drop their mail off, because it's a task, you know, for some seniors who live in those buildings to get to the mailbox to get their checks, monthly checks in the mail.
That may require congressional approval.
It did? But
Well,
you said-
hopefully we can get that done.
Point of order, did you say, I just want clarification, you said it's a task for them to get their checks?
No, to get their checks out.
Oh, for them to mail them out, okay,
Right.
all right.
Yeah, to pay
Okay,
the
I just-
bills.
But
You know-
Councilman Coley, just ask the ones that, they have some new ones coming out, because the old ones,
They're out, yeah.
people could take their hands out, take the mail.
Yeah, I know, yeah, go mail
I want to
fishing, yeah, I know.
request the new ones.
I know.
Yeah, they-
You know. And speaking of the mail, the last couple of days, I can't speak for any other parts of town, but in East Ward, I know the mail was, wasn't delivered today and yesterday in certain parts of the East Ward. I don't know if there's a problem. I don't know if this is just a new mailing habits that our post office is just trying to throw at us, but I don't like it. We are entitled to have our mail, delivered. For 6 days a week, and if you get special delivery, even on Sundays. So I'm going to definitely be making a trip up to the post office and trying to make contact with our
Postmaster.
postmaster. Does any of our council members know the postmaster person? I'll talk with you later. Okay,
And
thank you.
just real quick, Council President, there's a lot of issues going on with the mail, and so, and Congressman Payne has been aware because it's really under him. So if you recall, we had a meeting some time ago with her to discuss some issues and everything, but just make sure the congressional member knows as well.
Yep.
And Council Coley,
Yes.
for months, I guess somewhere before it turned summer, I wrote Washington and the regional manager about the post office in Orange to tell them of some of the issues. I did get a response, and they kicked the letter back to the postmaster.
Okay.
Fortunately, she never called back. But anyway, because I had some issues with the cleaning in the front, it was always filthy. I wanted them to redo it and do some landscaping. And one day I was there, it was so bad, I called Public Works, and Deputy Winfield sent a crew out to clean in front of the post office, and he said they were going to do it every day. Even though it's not their job, the city was going to clean it because it was so bad. And so I sat down and I wrote that letter, and I talked about all the issues we have. Normally what happens when I write the letter, the regional manager will come out and meet with me, and we'll sit down, and I got it painted, I got new receptacles in there a year or so ago, but this time he just kicked it back, because the other night I saw a mail carrier out there at 11 o'clock at night delivering mail. That's dangerous. 11 o'clock at night. So I think it's not just us, I think it's all over. Because our post office is in dire need of renovation. You go to West Orange, you go to Livingston, it's a whole different ballgame. So maybe collectively, if all of us write a letter, we might get some action.
Okay. That's all I have for my comments. Thank you for adding to my comments.
But I just got a new, I was wondering, for the residents, there's another E. coli breakout, there's another E. coli break. So don't eat romaine lettuce during the holidays.
You have to grind it up
Yeah.
and make a, what do you call one of the things?
Well, you still to get the E. coli.
That's the whole point.
Okay. Ordinances on second reading, public hearing, there are none. Ordinance on introduction and first reading, there are none. Consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in its normal sequence of the agenda. Are there any items the council wish to remove? Going once? Twice? Gone. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Second.
Moved by Williams, second by Wooten.
On the motion?
On the motion.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilwoman Easton?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten?
Yes.
Council President Coley?
Yes.
New business and walk-on ordinances. There are resolutions, rather. Resolution 340, 2018, WO, 341, 2018, WO, and 342, WO are three resolutions being considered as a walk-on. I'll read each resolution by title. 341, 2018. A resolution of appreciation to Peggy Ann Milton Wade, Section 8 Program Manager, for her over 27 years of service to the City of Orange Township, sponsored by Honorable Adrian Wooten. Resolution 341, 2018. A resolution...
You said that one.
I
You did
did?
it backwards.
Oh.
You didn't.
Resolution 340, 2018. A resolution authorizing a separation agreement and general release of claims between the City of Orange Township and the Chief Financial Officer. And the last one is Resolution 342, 2018. A resolution of the governing body of the City of Orange Township certifying compliance with the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission's enforcement guidance on the arrest and conviction records and employment decisions under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Is there a motion to walk these three resolutions on? Motion?
Second.
Motion by
Adrian.
Councilwoman Wooten, second by Councilwoman Williams. On the motion?
On the motion.
Seeing no roll call. Councilwoman Easton?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten?
Yes.
Council President Coley?
Yes.
Are there any citizens who wish to discuss any of the recently walked-on resolutions?
My name is Jeffrey Feld, and my address, I'm talking about 342-018 walk-on. There is proposed legislation that would prohibit these type of legislation being walked on, especially on 340. This is a material major event that's occurring in our city, that we're releasing all claims against the CFO. And I don't know if the public really understands it, but also, can we maybe, I don't know, like there's a blank when they think this agreement's going to go effective, when the retirement is, because the way it is now, you could approve this, but I don't know when you're planning for this to become effective. Is it like the end of the year, December 31st, or is it or next, or sometime next year? Because the first paragraph says separation effective blank. That's right there. I mean, I don't know when this goes on, and we are releasing claims. I mean, in my humble opinion, there might be claims against our CFO for what's occurred over the years. But that's, regardless, that's your business decision. But I'm just saying, one, this is something that I think the public should have had little notice of it, because we don't know when it's going effective, so I don't know if this is really an emergency that has to be done tonight. I just don't know.
Thank you, Mr. Fowler.
Gloria Stewart, resident of Orange.
Stewart?
First of all, I would just like to say with 341, I applaud them. That's a good thing. But the one that's disturbing to me is 340. You have, as we always say, you dot your I's and cross your T's. You left those things undone. Here, you gave us a blank document, I think, with missing parts. And I personally, and I know you're the legal person, that it should not go unless those I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. So you're putting this, like that cart before the horse, so to say. And then it still raises questions in my mind as it relates to the person that we have. And you lock me in by saying, I'm closing my mouth by saying, it's a personnel issue. I'm familiar with that line, being personnel, certain things you can discuss and certain things you should not. And my thing, again, going back to that is, if it's not complete, then it should not be put before you guys. And you're the legal experts, but, you know, I can sort of weigh things out. And as I always said, if I could go back, be reincarnated, I would come back as an attorney. But this, I think that you should give it some consideration, 340, Resolution 340, and that's just my comments as a humble resident.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart.
Is there a motion to close citizen comments?
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Williams, second by Councilwoman Wooten. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution 340, 2018, WO.
Council President,
Yes.
before you put the
Mr. Begay.
resolution on the floor, let's just be clear here. The only thing that's not in the attached agreement is the date, right? And that is very simply because this is a mutual separation. So we're trying to work together with the CFO to complete the work that needs to be completed and transfer and transition that work to the remaining staff and contractors. We have a date in mind, but that date can move under the circumstances. So for those of you who are stuck with the notion of a date, the target date is December 15th. But if I get to December 10th and December 15th is not feasible, I may move the date. That's all that's missing. And to characterize this as our releasing claims, it is a mutual release of claims, not one-sided.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. B.A. Madam Clerk?
340-2018, WO. A resolution authorizing a separation agreement and general release of claims between the City of Orange Township and the Chief Financial Officer. Is there a motion to move?
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Williams, second by Councilman Johnson Jr. On the motion?
On
On the motion.
On the motion?
On the motion.
Councilwoman Williams.
On the motion, Council President, through you to Mr. Hartwick, BA. We talked about, under the terms item B, that we kind of change the language to show that there will be a transition. And I don't see that change.
You mean the transition to Medicare?
Right.
That's understood because it has to happen as a matter of law.
I got that, but we talked about putting it in there because, for me, I don't like the word lifetime. And because there should be further, explanation of, because there's going to be a switch, and that's what we talked about at the Finance Committee meeting.
Well, then pull it. Because I'm not going to make that change without giving her an opportunity to review it with her lawyer.
And because
And that's going to cause a lot of problems.
and I understand that, but we have to think going forward, settlement agreements set precedents going forward, and that's a strong word. And that's why it was brought up at the Finance Committee last night to kind of recommend the change and then actually explain where the transition happens. Further detail.
We're not prepared to make that change.
Councilwoman Williams, are you, go ahead.
Through you to City Attorney Montelis or BA Chris Hartwick. So how is this going to affect Ms. Lascari if we don't do this tonight? How is this going to affect her?
To the
Personnel, sorry.
To the extent that we're going to get into a discussion about that, it's going to have to be in closed session.
Okay, thank you.
But I guess another question, Council President?
Councilwoman
To our
Eason.
City Attorney, do you review it? Do you see a problem with it in its current format?
I don't see a problem with this in its current form. I reviewed this agreement when it was drafted. I reviewed it prior to preparing the resolution. I actually had a discussion with the BA before it was finalized, before the agreement was finalized in its current form and before we had drafted the resolution. I don't see an issue with respect to the way that it's worded, the way that 2B is currently worded. I don't see an issue with the one word being lifetime. I do agree with the BA that the individual should be given an opportunity to be advised of the concern. I don't necessarily feel that it has to be pulled, but if it's going to be pulled, again, to give her an opportunity to review it, then I think that it should happen. But to answer your question, Councilwoman, I do not see an issue with how it's drafted in its current form.
Council President?
Councilman Jackson.
We're not doing this in the dark. As a mutual agreement, this has been thoroughly vetted through all parties, including their counsel, and this is the writing of that agreement. As we know, everyone agrees to this up to this point. All right. I just want to also point to Section 3 of the covenant and terms part of the agreement, which speaks of the mutuality of this agreement for those who are unclear about whether or not it's two-sided. That's all.
Well, Council President, we're on the motion. I want to chime in. Rereading this several times, in understanding the circumstances, I don't have a problem with the language of lifetime, because there's a contributory factor on the part of, on both parties. And like I said before, being briefed on the circumstances, I don't have a problem with the wording.
Thank you, Councilman Johnson. If we're in a motion, Madam Clerk, let's put it up for a vote on this.
Council President?
Councilman Williams.
I just want to reiterate that there was discussion last night, and there were a couple of things that were supposed to be done that was not done and agreed to at the Finance Committee meeting. One was to get this out to council members in the morning to kind of go over this, because this is the first time seeing this document. And number two, that again, while I understand it, the reason I asked for the expansion of the language to explain that at some point that assurance becomes secondary and then and other becomes primary. I wanted that in there because it's not in there, and in agreements like this, you want to make them as tight as possible. And then I just want to caution the council that we will set precedents going forward for other agreements that come behind us. And I understand it, and I think, Mr. Hartwick, BA, you said that your target date was December 15th. So therefore, we have a council meeting the first Tuesday in December. So, let me.
To be here on the 4th.
But that doesn't, if you're not going to be here on the 4th?
I have surgery on the 30th of November.
But that doesn't, but the council meeting will go forward, so that doesn't prevent this document from going forward. So I just asked us to consider, what happens when we make these decisions, and oftentimes it's, and again, this is the first time we're seeing it, and we'll set precedents going forward. That's it. Thank you, Council President.
You're welcome. Madam Clerk?
Are we finished on the motion?
Yep.
Roll call. Councilwoman Eason?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
No.
Councilwoman Wooten?
Yes.
Council President Coley?
Yes.
That is 6 yeas, 1 no. Motion passed. 341, 2018, a resolution of appreciation to Peggy Ann Melton Wade, Section 8 Program Manager, for her over 27 years of service to the City of Orange Township, sponsored by Honorable Adrian Wooten. Is there a motion to adopt?
Move.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Williams, second by Councilwoman Wooten on the motion.
On the motion.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilwoman Eason?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten?
Yes.
Council President Coley?
Yes.
Resolution 342-2018 WO. A resolution of the governing body of the City of Orange Township certifying compliance with United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission's enforcement guidance on the arrest and conviction records and employment decisions under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Is there a motion to adopt?
Move.
Second.
Moved by Williams, second by Jackson.
On the motion?
On the motion,
Yes,
Mr. B.A., please.
Well, like this, yeah.
So, you all remember the ban the box legislation? Okay, so basically, this requirement arises out of a study that was done by the EEOC that showed that there's a disparate impact on minority communities in the hiring process at governmental entities that use on their applications a box that says, or a question with a box that says, check this box if you have a prior criminal record. So they amended the local budget law in New Jersey in 2017 with a requirement to certify that your municipality does not engage in those practices. So we have been abiding by the ban the box legislation and have been compliant with the EEOC requirements for as long as I've been here. We were actually ahead of the state legislation to take it off of our application. But we've never done the resolution. And when you get the 2019 budget, you will also get this resolution with the 2019 budget. I would nonetheless like you to adopt the resolution because it's listed in the best practices survey. We did not do the resolution when we did the 2018 budget. That's my fault. I was aware of it. Somehow in the excitement of getting a budget done, I missed it. And so, but you all have to be comfortable with it because you have to sign a certification that's attached to it that I have to file with DCA. So we only use or conduct a criminal background and ask about people's criminal histories in connection with police and fire applications and in connection with any application for an employee who works with children. Those are the three instances in which we are permitted to ask those questions. And that's how we have conformed our hiring practice.
Council President?
Councilwoman Williams.
So, Mr. Hardwick, Council President, to Mr. Hardwick, so have we revised our application, or you just crossed that part out?
No, we revised the application.
So we have an application for police and fire and for children, and then a general application?
Correct.
Okay. So can, as a exhibit, could we have copies of those so that we can see that it was in fact done?
Well, the application for police and fire is actually a little bit different. It's not a
Right.
written application because it's done through the civil service
Civil, right.
testing process. But we have the two versions of the application. I'll be happy to supply those.
Okay.
On the motion.
Roll call. Councilwoman Easton?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
You said councilwoman. You said councilwoman.
Oh, Councilman Johnson, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten?
Yes.
Council President Coley?
Yes.
Pending business, it's already been announced that the planning board public hearing regarding the update of the draft master plan will be next Wednesday, November 28th in the council chambers. Are there any other pending business?
Council President?
Councilwoman Williams.
During my council comments, I forgot to mention, I wanted to offer condolences on the record for whom I call my Aunt Carrie on the loss of her husband, Sam Holder, who is a blessing to this community. If you ever heard Sister Carrie sing at a gospel event at Bethel Baptist, she truly blesses your soul. And just know that her other half, Sam, has gone on to glory, and while we know he's not suffering anymore, I still want to offer condolences. And also, a childhood friend of mine, Clayton Wilbert, who grew up on Central Avenue, on Central Place, he had an untimely death, and I want to offer condolences to his family and just let both families know that this is a more challenging time to lose family members, but to let them know that the city of Orange is here in any way that we can be. Thank you, Council President.
You're welcome, Councilwoman.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Summers Johnson, second by Councilwoman Easton. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Is that a record too? You just set another record?
At 9:06 p.m.
You just set another record?
So Chris, I wanted to show you these.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, this is, this is the book. They had a copy of it here. So I was looking at this.
I just texted them.
Probably,
Okay, yay.
so say